What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Mechanics Home for a news update on this Tuesday. I almost forgot the day. Tuesday. Now it's actually game week, of course. And we're gonna discuss the games, obviously, but we're gonna do that in lives. I think that's better to do. Also previews and all that stuff, because it's a big week. It's a tough week because we have injuries, but there can be no excuses because Milan are missing players. So there can be no excuses. Again, I'm not gonna make one. I hope anyone is gonna make one, any excuses. But what we're gonna talk about is Antonio Conte because I think it's. Um, I'm not sure if I should describe it as it being sad, but it's extremely obvious and it's becoming, how do you want to say that, a bit cringe now, the way things are going, and what he's saying, and the last couple of months, weeks, whatever you want to call it. But before we do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit that bell notification, and let's get into it. Okay, so Conte. I'm gonna talk about from my perspective. I'm just gonna say it how I think it is. I think it's extremely obvious that he wants the job. Now, is the job vacant at the end of the season? That's probably the question. If you just look at what Giuntoli has to say, what he has said over the last couple of weeks, whatever you want to call it, months, you are assuming no. Allegri is the guy, and Allegri is going to be the guy. There's going to be no change whatsoever. He's going to be the coach for the next, I don't know, couple of years, but especially the following year as well. Um, Although I think, like personally, my gut feeling is saying he's not going to be the guy, because I believe um, Giuntoli wants to go into a different direction, no matter what he says. That's just a feeling I have. Um, but the name of Antonio Conte, that's like Savage or Pogba. It's never going away. It will never go away. It's like Savage and Pogba every single summer. It will mid-season. Antonio Conte gets linked with us, and he's saying very obvious things now. He said no to Roma. He said no to Napoli because he said, I don't want to take a job on mid-season. I don't know about that. It could be, but if you say no now to Napoli, you're assuming you cannot join Napoli next summer. And Roma, is Mourinho gonna get sacked? Does he want to go join Roma? He said I don't think it's gonna work. Same with Napoli. How the both clubs operate, and all those things. I don't think that's a good fit. He said all those things. Coming back for the Legends game, nobody thought that was possible. When you saw the incidents with Agnelli in the stadium, everybody remembers those games. It felt like the relationship is broken, especially between him and Agnelli. But he's been there, talked all well, and then today, for some reason, or yesterday, then comes out and he said, "You know what? My biggest mistake was leaving Juve after year three, based on a thing that actually wasn't a big thing, but I made it a big thing. And it was about Iturbe and all those guys. He wanted Quadrado, certain players, the club said, no, we cannot do that now, and he left. Within a split second, he said, I'm gone then. And that's what he said. That's my mistake. I regret that because it was a minor, disagreement, and I made it a big deal. I learned throughout the years, he said, all those things. And it made me realize, I overreacted, and I should have just stayed put, stay calm, and, move on. That's a big statement. I think it's very obvious that he wants that job, and he's hoping he can get that job. Before Allegri came back, you can just scan through reports, and it was Conte. Everybody wanted Conte at the club, but Agnelli said no, he's not coming back. And he was hoping to come back then, before we got Allegri. He said his hopes. He agreed with Nedved and all those things. He thought he was gonna get the job back, and he didn't. I think he wants that job. I know a lot of fans want him to have that job back. I don't think I will have no doubt that if he comes back, he will turn it around in terms of it will be a team with an identity. I will call it identity. A team that will get disciplined, a team that will get more consistent. I have no doubts. But I cannot be a hypocrite because I've always said I don't want old things back, and I'm gonna stand by it. I've seen Conte, it's good. I want a completely different direction. A direction we're probably not gonna get, or I'm not gonna get. I want something new, something fresh, not something recycled. That goes for coaches, players, whatever. Why do we always need to, you know, flirt with things from the past? Why? For me, they're the past for a reason. There were good years. It's done. We move on. And you might say, well, oh, it's different with coaches and all those things. The way it ended, it wasn't soured. Maybe like Allegri at the end, it wasn't working anymore. He just left at a high. He deserves another chance. I get all those, how do you want to say it, thought processes from people. But I'm one of those people thinking, I don't want something back. I want something completely different. I want something fresh. I want something modern, And yes, the club is all about winning, but I'm just not a fan of old stuff, bringing old stuff back. I said it when we brought Pogba back. I said it when we brought Allegri back. Obviously, we didn't have the channel. We just started with the channel, to be honest, but I wasn't on the first couple of months. But I said, like, this is not good. We need something fresh. We moved on from certain players, coaches for a reason. Start something new, something completely out of the box. And with Juntali, the way he's speaking about, we need to use our young talents. We need to explore markets that are kind of unknown, and get players that not, how do you want to call it? Like the obvious signings. I don't think that's going to work, because he made it very clear why he left as well. He made it very clear why he's not joining Roma and Napoli because of how the club operates. And then you have Giuntoli saying certain things, how this club wants to operate moving forward. I don't know if that's a good fit. I don't know. I just want something completely out of the box. Something you step back and you're like, wow, I will back that. I will start over fresh and build something really from the ground up, but like something consistent, something new, something modern, something sustainable. Excuse me, not something you build and you burn down in a couple of years and you just move on. That's not something I want. But for me, I think it's extremely obvious that he's hoping that, they're going to move on from Allegri and that job is going to be mine. And that's why I think he's keeping all options open still, not taking the job for Napoli or Roma, whatever you want to call it, or any other job, and saying these things, even when he was at the Legends game, saying, speaking very positively about the club and about the family and about his past and all those things. While you had a feeling in the past years it got a bit soured, and you didn't feel like, oh, he was actually part of the club once, and he was a legend of the club, whatever, and he was a great player, great coach. You never had that feeling. Now it feels like he's just trying to build up that, image up again. And you know what? If Allegri moves, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think that's a very obvious choice the club will make. It's not a choice I will make. Because we've been there. I want this club to be different now. But will they? Probably not. Let's be honest. But I know a lot of people are hyped about all these things and that he potentially could come back at the end of the summer. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you want him back? Do you think it's actually possible? Whatever, or do you just think it's at this moment in time just foolishness? Let me know. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and join me today for a live show later on. Ciao.